mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find intelligent species, ritual extirpation of undesirable beings, odors from another world, the rest must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past watch them and pray?
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, redheads that are still being bullied, and anybody who might be listening. This is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. I am your host, Tasker, and we have Nick.
My wild Irish rose, the sweetest flower that grows. You may search everywhere, but none will compare to me wild Irish rose.
I don't know why that sounds like an Irish Disney film.
Hire me, Disney. Hire me, dude. If you guys make a some kind of, first off, why would you do it? But if you make some kind of Irish princess, like you already did Scottish, right? Was that Disney that did that dumb bow and arrow movie? Brave, yeah, Brave, whatever. Yeah. Oh, how brave, right? So if they do like an Irish one, hit me up. I'll be the prince. You guys already know I can sing. So give me in there. Pay me that fat stacks. I'll voice act. I'll sing. The only thing I refuse to do is put on an Irish accent.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you do what you got to do. It sounds like the Irish accent, though, might be a big deal breaker. I think they might need that.
What if she falls in love with some strong, handsome American that comes from America to gentrify Ireland?
Who's to say that the American won't get gentrified by the Irish, though?
So if I just go over there and start, all of a sudden I start, wearing wool jackets and speaking in an accent and having sex with sheep and stuff, is that what you think's going to happen?
Well, all I got to say is from my friend who is from Ireland and is a first-generation immigrant here, you don't know until you spent a night in Dublin. And apparently it's pretty, I want to say one step away from anarchy. I can't say I've been there myself, but I have heard tale. And if you are from Ireland listening to this episode, we apologize in advance. Of course, this is our annual St. Patrick's Day episode. And, if you have some tales about Dublin, you could throw it in a local legend because I have a feeling some real fucking cryptid shit happens over there.
It's a backwards place, dude. Like, I've never been there either. And I know which friend you're talking about, and I'm sorry. All right. And I know that your friend and I have bumped heads through the internet before about Ireland and the Irish culture. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Everything there is backwards. So, of course, there's a lot of local legends there. So if you guys are here, post them in our Discord, email them to us. We got to hear about what's going on. It doesn't have to be cryptids. It could just be some old Irish bitch that, just came from Mass and she's always pissed. It could be anything like that.
And it lived to be 120 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really great. Irish friend. I don't know if I should use her name, but she actually listens to the show. She likes it.
Oh, crap. I didn't know she listens to the show.
I don't know how far in she is, but yeah, she thinks you're very, we'll say colorful.
That's racist, man. Okay, that's racist. I draw the line
That's my words, not hers. That was me trying to paraphrase in a nicer way, but definitely I think the right word was crazy.
Okay, that's fine. And I'll take it. And I understand. I get it. Hopefully by listening to the show, she will understand where I'm coming from as time goes on.
Yeah. To be fair, the episode she listened to was the time it was right after the Capitol riots happened, and you suggested that we riot the cell phone companies next on air and record. Yeah, that was the thing that was like, this guy might be there might be something a little I shouldn't listen to.
Okay.
Watch it.
All right. All I was saying is maybe we should take it to the streets.
Hey man, if it lowers my cell phone bill, okay, maybe I'll pay attention, but that's something you could save for when you're in your underwear, sitting on your little soapbox and the streets of wherever the fuck you are, middle of nowhere.
I'm in the middle of nowhere, so nobody's listening to my soapbox. That's why I say everything I have to say on the podcast, because the podcast reaches. We are now global, by the way. Thank you everybody for listening. We are Close Encounters has gone global. Okay, so there are people listening to us in many countries that I have personally made fun of, and they still listen to us, which is cool. And that's nice that you guys can take a joke, except for the Irish, because today's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a very rough episode to get through, just because, come on, guys, Tasker's half Irish. And one of my favorite pastimes, even before the podcast was ever conceived of, was making fun of his Irish side.
Yeah, that's something you've been doing fairly constant in basically, I think, the entire duration of our relationship.
Oh yeah, no, we love it. He loves it too. I mean, look at the joy on his face. I mean, you guys can't see it, but I'm looking at his face, and he just looks so ready to get roasted.
What can I say? I get off on it, but I also got to point out too, if you're just kind of tuning in, or you just hopped in with us for the past like 10 episodes, this is a tradition that we do every year. This is the only real episode that you know us, because we're usually hungover as hell for these episodes, and call it a character choice or call it poor life decisions. Probably something around both of them. Yeah. But this is the one episode we allow ourselves to drink. And actually, I got to point out, we're drinking scotch, which is kind of like backwards as fuck and really, really insulting, I'd imagine, huh?
Ask your Irish friend. I don't know, but it is sacrilege, apparently, that we're drinking scotch on an episode full of leprechaun stuff, right? Irish folklore. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we had on hand, and that's what we're going to drink, because we're Scotch guys, and that's what we do. The Scottish are clearly superior.
Well, fuck, it's already happening. I'm already like losing the ability to speak. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah, because you're Irish, man. As soon as you start sipping alcohol, it's just the words start slurring, and you start talking like this, or I can't understand a word you're saying.
Well, we'll see how well it goes. I gotta pace myself today, because like I said, I'm not used to drinking on episodes. Did we ever drink on episodes before? Like before we started doing the leprechaun tradition? Because I remember we kind of did for a bit, but then like we just realized we just would just start hanging out instead of like doing the episode.
We've tested it with other things before, and it doesn't go well. So for the duration, except for last year's leprechaun episode, for the duration of our podcast, we have never drank during a recording.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Especially because fun known fact is that before we started Close Encounters and we did our couple we'll say prototypes. I think our first podcast idea was just to get totally smashed and just put a mic on and see what happens.
And then here's what I want you guys to picture out there. Picture the things that spew out of my mouth sober, and then picture it drunk, and then imagine all the negative things that if we ended up drinking for every episode, the entire episode would be cut. It just wouldn't work. So that's one of the reasons we don't drink while recording.
Oh yeah. Also too, because I'm not sharp enough to filter things out, and I don't try to redirect us on a we'll say more acceptable path. And I don't know, dude. It's just we can cut that bit. I don't know.
I'm so let's just get into the horoscopes.
It's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Okay. This is why we don't drink and record.
This is why we don't drink and do the episode.
But once we get to the outline, we'll have a guidance, so it's okay.
Yes. So cool. 10-minute intro, not bad. Let's see. What's in your horoscope today?
All right, let's take a look here. Oh, here we go. The visual arts should be of special interest to you today, Cancer. Perhaps an exhibition by a favorite artist is opening. Yeah. Or maybe you've decided to try drawing or painting. A friend or lover could join you in such activities. Books of great art should also prove tempting. So stay out of bookstores. Design, sewing, and interior decoration could provide outlets. I'm not even going to read the rest of this. Am I a queer eye for a straight guy? Is that what they're implying?
I was going to say, I thought I was just riding the book train. Remember last week they're asking if you read? I got a great how to draw a hentai book if you'd love to, get your hands on it.
I'm sure you do. Have a great book on hentai. I'm offended by this horoscope on two different levels. One, again, the book thing. Weird that they would even bring it up with me. Right. I don't know how to read. And The second thing is, what's up with the whole art? Like, what's up with the drawing and the painting, the interior decoration, sewing? Can you imagine me sewing something, bro, right now? Can you imagine me sitting down making a little dress for prom?
I could see you being very bad at it.
I'd be horrible at it because I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to paint. Although as we I'm fucking so buzzing. God damn it.
Great start. And it's drinking episode. We have to keep all the mess ups.
Oh fuck, really? That sucks. All right, cool. No, that's fine. But like I was trying to say, as you and I have argued before, I could just sit down with a canvas, a couple little things of watercolor,
right?
Make something that's called art, and it's art, right?
Technically, yeah.
So I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, what's up with drawing and painting if like anything I draw is art?
Yeah. Anything you draw and anything you create is art, and that's the subjectivity. The objectivity of it is the fact that it's not good art. It is art, but that doesn't mean it's good art.
But isn't good and bad art subjective?
It depends on what you're looking at. Like installation art. Okay, well let me first start off by saying that a lot of like quote unquote high art or subjective art is a fucking scheme. That shit it's a bunch of like weirdos who have this like, nobody gives a fuck about a lot of these like really like piles of trash that are supposed to mean something or anything like that. It actually is what happens is they take it to their rich buddy appraisers. The rich appraisers make it a high price, and then the rich people buy the art, and then the artist makes a ton of money, and then the rich person gets it appraised again for an even higher price, and then they sell. And at this point, it's like the art itself isn't really worth much at all, but it goes through this like rich. It's a scheme to make money, basically.
So
and then
all art is fake then?
No, that's high art. That's like the pretentious, like I said, like installation, like the guys wearing like the turtlenecks and like the thick rimmed glasses and stuff like that. But if we're talking just like straight up like technical skill, that's objective as hell. Like when you see a master painter doing it's like watching a guy play guitar who's really fucking good at it. That's an objective skill. That's pretty obviously good. Now, compared to how much you like how that sounds versus your favorite song, that's subjective. So one of them is more technically impressive. The other one is just, it's just your jam. And art's no different.
Interesting. It's just a shame that like sham artists like Picasso and Van Gogh got big though with their shitty brushstrokes. You know what I mean? But that's just me, bro. I didn't go to art school, so I don't know. I'm just a consumer. I'm just a person looking from the outside in at a horrible art. The Picasso didn't know where eyes went on a face. Not my problem. He just didn't know how to make a portrait. All right,
he did. That's why. Anyways, yeah, we're not going to get into this. We're not talking unless there's any Irish artists you can think of.
I can't even think of any other artists except for Picasso and Van Gogh, man. So that's about it. That's about it, my buddy.
Oh, man. And also, random side note, I know we've talked about it before, but I always got to point out, if we're talking about Ireland, I always got to re-bring up the whole, after there's like a list of like inventions from Ireland, and right when whiskey got invented, there's like a 200-year like blank slate where nothing got invented.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Oh, great. All right, let me do my stars real quick. Looking pretty good today. Sex is a 4 out of 5. My vibe is a 4 out of 5. Hustle is a 4 out of 5. And my success is a 3 out of 5. So looking all right today.
Not bad, especially considering the circumstance.
Yes. Yeah, man. So how's your horoscope looking today? Are you in the same art boat as I am?
Let's see. A place far away that you haven't visited for a while yet, long to see again. What? Okay, hold on. Am I just reading?
You haven't visited it in a while yet?
Yeah, okay. A place far away that you haven't visited for a while yet, long to see again. Okay, is it me or does that not make sense?
It doesn't, I mean, unless they're writing it in prose, I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. I had to stop the reason I stopped, because I'm like, am I really just like, I took like 3 sips and I'm already like that gone, but no, okay, cool. Let's try this again. I'm just gonna read it as is, and we'll just see what happens. Maybe this is like an ink blot kind of thing. We gotta do.
Oh, okay.
A place far away that you haven't visited for a while yet, long to see again, could be on your mind today, Scorpio. You might toy with the idea of going there, but you aren't really sure if you can. Nonetheless, it certainly won't hurt to look into it. What's the plane fare? Where can you stay? Learning these facts might help later when it comes to make the decision. Okay, I just feel like this is just badly written.
They want you to go to Ireland. They want you to fly over to Ireland for this episode.
I wouldn't mind. I would love to visit Ireland. Never been there before.
You don't need to visit, man.
I do. I want to. It'll be fun. And get whiskey from the source and try Guinness as it's supposed to be.
I'll buy you a sheep. You can just have a sheep, bro.
That'd be kind of fun, except for the whole shearing it and having it shit all over the backyard.
Just don't shear it. Have it live in its own wool filth.
No, you gotta shear it. It's super unhealthy for them if you don't.
Oh,
I think they grew evolutionarily accustomed to being sheared.
Well, then just eat it.
I mean, I could do that too. There's nothing wrong with that.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, delicious. Anyways, let's move forward. Sex is a 4 out of 5. Vibe is a 3 out of 5. Hustle is a 4 out of 5. Success is a 2 out of 5. So, yeah, not too bad. Not super successful today, but everything else is actually pretty high.
Good. I mean, given the circumstances, I think we're doing fine.
I think so too. So, not bad. Okay. We're cruising at a good even medium, I'll say. And I think there's nothing left to do but give the people what they came here for.
Oh, leprechauns. We're talking about leprechauns once again, lad.
Yep. Here we are, back to our tradition. We're talking about the one thing that we can do, the one thing we know about Ireland and the world of mystery, encrypted, and conspiracy.
Yeah, man. Leprechauns are fucking weird, man. They are just like, if they're real, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it's fun when you see it as a drawing and as a cartoon. But if you saw it and even then in like the Disney Luck of the Irish movie, it's just all they do is just put on prosthetic ears and just take the footage of them and just shrink them. And so they just look like teeny people. But in actuality, these things are fucking terrifying.
Yeah, dude. So, all right, guys, here we are, a little buzzed. Welcome back to another Irish episode of CEO TPK. And holy crap, guys, a year has gone by already, which is scary. And so with another year, it's another episode on leprechauns. And since last year, we laid the foundation of leprechauns and their origins. Today will be more of a hodgepodge of lore, fun facts, conspiracies, and even leprechauns in the media, both the internet and the movies. So all you got to do is put on your little buckle shoes, stuff your little tobacco pipes with tobacco, shrink down a few feet, and most importantly, stay the fuck away from me Lucky Charms, because we're diving right in.
Here we go. Oh man, I should have bought Lucky Charms before we had that. Would have been fun.
I almost bought them on Friday. Almost bought them.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many. There's only so many bits you can do before it just becomes, like you said, just like an avalanche. It's like you can't even latch onto one.
Yeah, dude, we're just gonna be grabbing for bits, and every year we're gonna have a hard time keeping track. But we're true artists, right? And that's what we do, is we get confused by our own art because it's meant to make you think, man.
And then, man, does it make us think and sometimes panic.
I'm panicking right now.
I see these episodes are fun. They're once a year. And it's one of the few where we don't really know how good they turn out until we,
because we don't have to. This is the one episode a year where it's like we shoot the shit, we roast the Irish, we talk about leprechauns, we drink whiskey and scotch, and it's just like we have a good time. Hopefully you guys can have a good time with us. Make your own drinking game, right? For every time I say leprechaun today, take 2 shots, right? Let's do that. That sounds like a fun game. You could play along with us.
Yeah, or just try to. I don't know. I don't feel like I have enough self-awareness on us to really give like proper rules. But yeah, by the time this episode drops, it will be, for you right now listening, it is probably St. Patrick's Day. So if you're listening to us and you don't got a whole lot going on, or you're ready to start drinking early, make a game out of it. It could be fun.
Yeah. So it's fun for everybody. This is just a nice, relaxed, racially charged episode that we get to do once a year, and we're doing it. All right.
Yep. So nothing left to it but to go over what we don't know anything about leprechauns. Nope, this is a fresh start. What do we got?
All right, so what we're going to do first is let's talk about leprechauns and their gold. So last year we briefly touched on this, but I think it's worth diving into further, okay? So in the last episode, we talked about how leprechauns have a killer work ethic, and that is one of the ways that they are able to stock up on a bunch of gold. However, there are different legends for their mass accumulation of gold and how that either the reason behind it or how they accumulate it. Now, there is a legend in which leprechauns are actually able to create gold, which is probably my favorite version of everything.
Hell yeah. Oh, see, that's where being a leprechaun sounds fun.
That's where it comes in handy because, yeah, you're tiny and yeah, nobody respects you in the fairy realm because you're just like kind of like this a shoemaker, trickster asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you can make gold, you get all the bitches and all the fairy bitches.
Yeah, it's like being a dumpy piece of shit in the real world, but then you make a fuck ton of money and suddenly you're like Hugh Hefner.
And we're not saying that all women are gold diggers, just like a hard majority, though.
There is enough gold diggers to keep that dream alive for some people.
Sad.
Hey, dude, it's your life, man.
So, speaking of, this legend where they can create gold is pretty dope because not only that, but they also create the rainbow that is attached to said gold. So let me explain how this works. So leprechauns have the ability to manipulate the light spectrums by using prisms that they have, special prisms that can create giant rainbows. And by using these prisms, they manufacture rainbows at will. And when the gold hue is created in the light spectrum, it actually creates gold at the end of the spectrum. And that is where we get the idea of gold being at the end of a rainbow. Because the gold is created from the color at the end of the spectrum, aka a manufactured rainbow.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I had really low expectations for this episode, and that's really fucking interesting.
Isn't that dope?
That's really neat. That's actually a really cool explanation. And here y'all thought we were just gonna make Dark Side of the Moon jokes and stuff, but no, that's cool. I like that. It's like that sort of like light bending and turning it into like turning light into something. Like that's cool. Materialization or whatever the fuck.
Materialization, alchemy, right? I'm not saying it's straight alchemy, but alchemy's goal, you know what? We should do an episode on alchemy one day because that's super interesting shit. But basically, the end game of alchemy is to create gold. That is the end game. And even though leprechauns aren't doing it from other minerals and materials, he's still creating gold. Some kind of alchemy is going on here. It's pretty sick.
Right. Some sort of exchange. And that's also too, like, it's really neat. Dude, how fucking cool must have that been to be the guy who's pitching the like, hey, like, I'm like, because alchemy was just proto-chemistry essentially. And imagine being like a scientist and, you got to pitch your ideas to, get funding from nobles or kings or queens or whatever the fuck. And how enticing must have been to be like, hey, I think I can make gold out because what is it? It was making gold out of coal,
mercury, iron kind of stuff, like lesser metals, basically.
That'd be kind of a cool era to live in because you probably got unlimited funding, and if you're a practitioner of science and you just love making science shit and just experimenting, dude, I bet you're living the dream. Unless, of course, since they didn't produce results, they got their heads chopped off after. I don't know. That's a really good topic we should talk about someday.
I think we really should. That'd be a lot of fun.
I agree.
All I'm picturing right now for alchemy, like, is I'm picturing like some dumb like Tim and Eric commercial where they're standing there like, do you have iron? We can give you gold. Sell us your iron at this number and we can get gold.
Oh my God. Tim and Eric, that shows an adventure.
It is, man. It is.
Yeah, I think my favorite bit though, and we could get back to the episode, is the one where they're playing the game where it's like, they have like the buzzer, but the guy like presses the buzzer down and just holds the button down. And everyone slowly like starts covering their ears in pain, and he just looks at the screen smiling, that slowly transforms into this like really like aggressive face.
Dude, that kind of like surreal humor, Tim and Eric, Eric Andre, thank you. I don't know how I forgot that. They were huge inspirations for me growing up, because on Adult Swim, you thought it was cool to stay up late and watch that shit.
Hell yeah.
So love those guys, man. They're funny as shit.
Absolutely. And also being sleep deprived, they do say, is somewhat equivalent in terms of like your motor ability and ability to process information, is pretty damn close to what you are like if you're drunk.
I've heard that driving extremely sleep deprived is almost more dangerous than driving drunk.
I have heard it actually is supposedly very much more dangerous, supposedly.
So, hey guys, if you're out there drinking for St. Patrick's Day, pick your poison. Either don't get sleep or you're going to drive drunk, one or the other, man.
Yeah, if you do both, then just get ready to be essentially a murder-suicider, essentially.
Yeah, you sick fuck.
Be careful and get your sleep.
There is another legend through in which the leprechaun does not make, earn, or create his pot of gold. In this particular legend, it's talked about how each leprechaun is actually passed down an ancient pot of gold to protect with their lives.
Interesting. So it's like kind of like a dragon.
Like a dragon. It's a lot like a dragon. Because like you guys know, I don't know if it started with Tolkien or whatever his name is, right? That hack writer. I don't know if it started with him. It might have, but you know that stereotype that dragons like to hoard and protect gold. I think most notably we think of Smaug, which sounds like a smell that comes from my grundle.
That's an unfortunate description, but true.
But same thing with these leprechauns in this legend. So I'm not 100% sure why they were given this gold and by who or whom. I don't know. Not an English professor. Perhaps they use it to buy things in the fairy realm. I don't know. So like maybe it's like an allowance they're given once they are created or born. And they're like, hey, you have to make this pot of gold last your whole life as a leprechaun. So like they could buy things like tea parties, right? I just, for some reason, I picture that's what happens in the fairy realm. Tea parties all the time. Maybe little fairy whores at the brothels. I'm not sure.
Probably. I mean, if you live that long, I mean, who knows?
But what we do know is that the gold is theirs, and they will do whatever it takes to protect it from the greedy human race who's always trying to capture them and steal their gold. Because let's be frank, we do that all the time. There are probably still people in Ireland who are trying to catch leprechauns. Yahoo Answers for sure has a bunch of people on there trying to catch leprechauns. So I know as a fact it's still happening.
Right.
So that's an interesting one to me because I couldn't find any details on who gave them the gold and what they use it for.
Yeah, and it could be like, an ancient in like the time of creation, because I imagine leprechauns have been around since then. And maybe there was like a great deposit of gold that like they stumbled upon, or maybe they got the gold they discovered, which gave them gold for their entire race's existence, but also shrank them into tiny little monster things. And now it's like, well, you might as well protect it because that's all you got. I almost think of it like this. Imagine you're a complete like, there's a word for it in Japan. It's called a hikikomori, which is a guy who, or lady, or whoever you are, who basically either lives at their parents' place or lives on their own on an allowance, and they just never leave the house. They never do anything. They never go out. They have no friends. They have no contact. Some of them don't even talk to their parents. Some of them don't even leave their room. And it's actually becoming like a real problem of people like dying in their room from like malnutrition or some bullshit. But like, it's a crazy deal. So now imagine you're that, and you just never leave your room, and you just got like $1 million inheritance. And basically, if you never want to work or ever have to leave your house, you got to make that money last the rest of your life. So that kind of pressure is what leprechauns go through every single day.
That's what I think too. I think that's a really good point. I think they're given this at the beginning and they're like, all right, don't lose it. This is all you got, man.
After that, you're sunk. And I imagine there's not a whole lot of ways you could either. I mean, I guess the only way to get more gold is to steal it from other leprechauns.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Inter-leprechaun conflicts, huh?
That's pretty, that's pretty political and scary.
Yeah, man, the news doesn't care when it's leprechaun on leprechaun. It's messed up.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I discovered a new fun thing to do is in public, say something that sounds like it's going to be like really like controversial and it ends up being just like a really stupid pun. So lately I love like, I'm just like in line at like Chipotle with like my girlfriend and being like, dude, get this shit about Fox News. Did you hear it's actually not about foxes? And like people get like kind of mad, but it's really fun because people do like get like they tense up. They're like, oh fuck, what's the fucking bald white guy gonna say who looks like he's fucking just breaking out from the Aryan Brotherhood?
Yeah, you just got your swastika tattoos lasered off.
I'm letting it heal as we speak as I'm waiting in the Chipotle line.
That's funny, man. No, I mean that's interesting that you point that out though. It's not about foxes, which is misleading.
It's bullshit. Honestly, Fox News is about foxes. Just like the same as Mozilla Firefox was more about foxes, man. I just finished playing Ghost of Tsushima, and you know what? There's a lot of foxes in that game, and you can pet them. And I'd say that's good game design.
You know what's just as misleading is I started using a new browser called Opera, and I opened it up, and not one single person sang to me. So that was confusing.
Yep. No music. In fact, there's probably a lot of DMCA takedowns on it. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, dude, this world we live in, man. This world we live in is terrifying and it's scary and it's closing me in. I'm becoming a hikikomori or whatever the fuck you said. Hey, speaking of which, Mr. Japanese culture man, I did for some. Okay, guys, now you can believe me here. I have no idea how this happened, but for some godforsaken reason, a mini documentary about that popped up on YouTube for me. In my recommended Hikikomori, what is it called? Hikikomori?
Hikikomori.
Sure. So I watched it, right? It was like 17 minutes long. I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. Not surprised.
Yeah.
One dude was in his room. He was like 30 something years old. His mom still like lives at his mom's house. His mom's cooking him dinner. She's all depressed because he's fucking and he can't get his shit together. His room is filled with those comic books. Filled. I'm talking like it looks like that section of Barnes and Noble in his room. But I'm not surprised. So, you know, I don't know what's going on over there, man, but they need to get their shit together.
Yeah. So I think what Nick's trying to say is that he's a big anime and manga fan, and that might be what attributed to his hikikomori status.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, there's a connection. There's a connection between the mangas, and how long you live at your parents' house. I know it.
I don't think it's such a specific connection as that. I do think if you remember last episode, yes, don't get me wrong. I love anime. I love all that stuff, but I will be the first to admit that half of it is because I just truly enjoy the art form. And the other half is because it's my daily dose of copium to make it through my day.
Sad. Both of those are sad because even you could say the first thing is all for artistic purposes and values, but the only two things that stand out about Japanese drawing is the tits and the eyes. So if those are the only things that you're looking at, I mean, my God, I guess. But
I mean, have you seen it when they're actually done by a good studio? It's nuts.
It is nuts. It is like chestnuts.
Nuts like chestnuts. We got to remember that when Christmas rolls around.
I stole that from the Chronic.
Ah, God damn it.
Okay, let's move on. And finally, there is another set of folklore that makes leprechauns out to be so we discussed briefly on the last episode last year. Leprechauns are cobblers by trade. They're shoemakers, you know?
Right.
And there is another set of folklore that says leprechauns are kind of like bankers, like they're the bankers of the fairy world. So I don't know if it's simultaneously or that's just like a whole separate profession. But this, I mean, hold on, I can't read. Let me read. Are we keeping this in? Let me redo that.
We should. They gotta see it as it is.
Oh, geez. All right.
You can actually think of this. This is a test run of a live show if you think about it that way.
That's true. I can't even read my own outline.
Well, get ready for that. But in front of 40 judgmental eyes.
There's no outline on there either. That's the worst part. All right.
Yeah.
So by this, I mean that they hold on to other Fey beings' gold. And now I don't know if he's like investing the gold, right? Diversifying bonds and shit.
Right.
But he is definitely holding on to the gold for safekeeping. And knowing this now, I have come to two different conclusions about this legend and what it tells us about the Fey world. So the first conclusion that I came to is that this might be the cause of the myth that leprechauns hoard pots of gold, because perhaps they're just protecting the gold that is given to them by other Fey beings for safekeeping. So maybe they're in charge of the gold, but it's not theirs.
Right. So that's why they're so desperate to not have it be stolen, because they're going to get their kneecaps broken.
Exactly.
And they're teeny kneecaps indeed.
And they're small. So all you need is like a toothpick with a rock at the end of it, and you can crush those babies.
Yep. A pebble even.
A pebble.
So, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Other people's money. Don't want to get into trouble. And fucking fairy, fae, all that shit. They're scary, man.
Yeah. You don't want to mess with it. You don't want to piss off a wood nymph, you know?
Yeah. Nope. We'll have to get into that someday too. I know we've talked about it, but we just haven't quite. I don't know. We haven't had a mystical enough atmosphere to do a fairy episode yet.
No, but one day we will, because there's many Fey beings to talk about, all within the Fey realm. I think it's a very interesting topic. So one day we will definitely do that.
Right. Sounds good.
And the second conclusion that I came to from this legend is that apparently the common currency in the Fey realm is gold, like Skyrim or something. So that's what it just seems like to me. Is I think these fairies and these nymphs and leprechauns on their realm, they just use gold as currency. And I think to them, maybe it's not as rare of a metal as it is for us.
Right.
Because they just kind of buy shit with it willy-nilly, and they, you know, I don't know.
So maybe it's not just some sort of like legend, like your race is intrinsically inclined to like defend their. You're just stealing their shit.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you be mad?
I think you're right. I think it does come down to, if you catch a leprechaun, he'll have to give you. No, you're just curb stomping him and then you're robbing him. You're just robbing the guy.
That's a mugging if I ever heard it, and that is a crime.
So I think that's what's really happening here personally. Is I think that it's just their currency, and we're just we're holding them up like it's a 7-Eleven at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, and we twist it like this fun little tale of like, oh, they're gonna resist, they're gonna try to trick you. Well, yeah, because what would you do if a fucking like what did you do? Okay, speaking of you as yourself, you listener right now, suddenly you hear a large rumbling, and you see a fucking giant, like a fucking could squish you. You're dead in a second. You're probably going to be pissing yourself, especially if you're an Attack on Titan fan. You know how scary that shit could be. So they're there. They're holding your bank, like the bank itself that you get it from, and they just tore it up from the ground. They're holding it in their hands, and they're looking at you, and they're just like, give me all your money. Like, you know, because everything's going to be fucking terrifying. These poor leprechauns are scared for their goddamn fucking life. And they're also like, they're going to think you're messing with them, like you're fucking with them. And then you're going to kill them and steal their money. So, of course, they're going to try to trick you out of it, because that's all they have. I mean, dude, shit, man. Before humanity became humanity, we were small little mammals with the fucking world of dinosaurs. We had to resort to trickery, too.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's how we had to rise. So I think you're onto something, Tasker. I'm pretty sure that we're just robbing them.
Yep, we are dicks to the leprechauns, and maybe that's why they're so cranky.
Maybe, man. I think you're right.
Damn.
All right, well, let's move on to the next section here and discuss some fun facts about leprechauns. It's just a lightning round of drunk, useless Irish knowledge.
Oh, yes, the climax of this episode.
Is there really anything other than drunk, useless knowledge in Ireland? I don't think so.
I'd venture to say there's some drunk, useful knowledge every once in a while.
Maybe every once in a blue moon. I don't know.
Funny people, very funny people, good sense of humor. Till they start hitting on your girlfriend, then it's slightly less funny.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great sense of humor if you can understand what they're saying half the time.
And that is no exaggeration. I gotta say, have you ever drunk with a true Irishman?
No.
And I mean, I'm not even trying to be like mean. It's just I literally could not fucking understand what they said, because the accent which is already can be pretty thick because it varies from person to person. Just like how in California, we have a Californian accent. Some people, it's like, yeah, bro, walking down Mulholland Drive and going down over to get some fucking Shake Shack, man, over to Hollywood. Like, yeah, like sometimes if you're not from there, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just as the same in Ireland, some people are just less coherent than others. And then you give them a couple drinks, and it's like that Robin Williams sketch where he talks about drinking with a Scotsman. Now we're back to Scottish people on the Irish episode. But like, linguistically, it becomes almost impossible. I actually had to have my friend translate for me.
Man, see, that's the thing is I'm sure they have a great sense of humor if I had subtitles, So.
Yeah, you wouldn't read them anyways.
I would not. I refuse, dude. I'd rather just dub. I'll dub him.
Yeah, good. Hire a dubber to go with you wherever you go, and they just like talk over them. And that could be interesting,
right?
I think they're just called translators.
Oh, right. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. All right. What kind of useless drunk Irish knowledge do we have for today?
Well, there is an interesting little tidbit here, and that is that some legends say that what we think as fairies and leprechauns are actually one and the same species. So not just offshoots of fey beings in the fey realm, but those who believe this believe that if the species is female, they are called fairies, and if they're male, they're called leprechauns. Like they're exactly the same species.
Interesting.
I don't know if I believe that though.
I feel like that's kind of a discounts millennia of interesting lore and stuff like that. I feel like it oversimplifies it.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. So I think that it's interesting to bring up, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, I agree.
One fact is kind of creepy. All right. Because this kind of stuff creeps me out. We've talked about, you'll see. So the earliest known folktale that has a leprechaun in it is from the Middle Ages. And in this tale, a king falls asleep on the shore of a beach, only to be awoken when a leprechaun is trying to drag him into the sea to their lair. So according to this legend, leprechauns are sea-dwelling creatures who try to get you underwater with them for God knows what. And this is much like the Kelpies, which we did an episode on, and the Kelpies freak me the fuck out, man.
Yeah, a classic. I look fondly when we first started and barely knew what the fuck we were doing, and we were so nervous of being on mic. But I look back fondly on that, and yeah, that's right. If you listen to episode 2,
Kelpies. Damn,
or
I don't
3.
even know. I don't even remember. You have to look back.
Yeah, that was back when. Yeah, that was back when we used a Blue Yeti USB mic on a fucking hamper.
Yeah. Yeah, it was back there. I was gonna check Spotify, but I'm not logged in, so
here I got it. Filter by, let's go.
I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna guess 7. I'm throwing it out there though. 6 or 7. I don't know.
Episode 4. We were both wrong. Yeah, Rougarou was episode 2.
Oh, Rougarou, dude. Oh man,
that was
cringe.
What a throwback.
Yes.
See, this is the. I love how we're hitting all the typical stereotypes of alcohol, which is just reminiscing and just going on tangents. It's fun.
But yeah, it's fun. But we always circle it back, right? So yeah, the Kelpies are. So that legend is in particular freaks me out because Kelpies freak me out because I'm afraid of water, large bodies of water and what's under there. So now thinking of water dwelling leprechauns trying to get you underwater is freaky.
That sounds even worse. But I don't know. I feel like calling them leprechauns, like I said, doesn't really fit for me. I don't know. I still think an underwater creature, like I said, there's so many other ones. I guess you could, but I mean, is that based on a specific Irish lore, or is that just
yeah, I didn't do the whole story, but I think it's the oldest recorded Irish lore that includes a leprechaun.
Interesting. So, and I wonder too, and also, I mean, maybe we get into this later, that maybe a leprechaun's kind of a catch-all for just what would you call it? Fantastical creatures or something like that?
Possibly. But they do have words in these stories for leprechaun, right? It's just leprechaun in Gaelic. So they specifically are saying it, but they could just be hey, kind of seems like something a fairy would do, but fairies are dumb, so let's use a leprechaun. Like they could be doing that kind of stuff. But that's the hard part about deciphering these old legends is we don't know what they're thinking, and we just have their words to go off of and speculation, man.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, in a similar note to that, like I said, Beat Ghost of Tsushima, which is based on a real event where the Mongols tried to invade Japan. And we really don't have a clear picture of what actually happened during that invasion because all they had was the writings of a bunch of panicked generals and people getting slaughtered. And, we don't know how true it is. And by the way, what I think the video game was based off of, you might like this, that there was one particular samurai on the keep in mind the Mongols had like guns and shit, and the Japanese, all they had were fucking samurai swords. So one dude though managed to take down 25 before finally falling.
The samurai?
Yeah, one samurai took down 25 Mongols with just a sword.
Okay, that's even though he's a Japanese, that's pretty cool. I'll say that's pretty cool. I mean, if you could take down like 25 Mongoloids that quickly, that's pretty good.
Oh my god. Sure. I mean, yeah, Japan was pretty hard before anime came.
I wonder if there's a correlation between there's no more badass samurais and then the rise of their cartoons and their hikikomoris.
Yeah, like Japan basically for a time was just basically anarchy, like exactly as it was. There was just no real law. If you had power, you had property, and that's how it went for a very long time.
Guys, I know that this is a Leprechaun episode, but I just had a realization. I had a revelation about why I might not like anime, and I'd like to share it.
Why? Oh,
as we've talked about on this on this podcast before, I am part Japanese.
True.
I had an ancestor on my mom's side who was a samurai's apprentice. Kind of cool. And I think
hard job
sounded rough. Bushido sounds like a pain in the ass, to be honest, to be quite frank. My grandma made me read a book called Bushido, and then she also made me read a book called Turning Japanese to get me more in touch with my culture when I was in high school, okay? But that being said, I think I don't like anime because of what you said, Tasker, is when anime arose, Japan turned into a bunch of pussies, right? There was no more samurai. There was no more kamikazes. Everybody just stayed in watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and eating cup of noodle and fucking going on trains and roping women. It just kind of sounds like that's where Japanese went after anime was created. And I don't like that.
Well, and also, too, I think a lot of that happened, too, after World War II, when, keep in mind, their entire basis of religion was under the idea that the ruler, the emperor, was their god that they worshipped. And their god can't lose. That was part of it. So when they began their conquest, they thought it was, their religion basically said that it was just meant to happen. Like, it's not that if we lose, what do we do? It's, no, I am the god, and God does not lose. And then God lost. And I feel like Japan, they just never really quite reclaimed that, that fire, they were a fucking intense people. And some of the most scariest historical cases of brutalizing and torturing and killing people comes from Japan.
Yeah. And now look at them. I can't be proud of my heritage anymore because my heritage is full with a bunch of otakus.
Well, it's because their whole way of life got fucking nuked, literally.
Yeah, but that doesn't I get it. You lose something, right? You lose a battle, but that doesn't mean you have to start, fetishizing like children and doing all kinds of weird cartoon shit to make up for it. You don't have to cope. You could rebuild society. You don't have to step back and be like, okay, what can we do to never leave the house again? So we don't have to lose ever again. They took the step backward. They should have taken a step forward.
I will just say, imagine a world where, regardless of how it may happen, that there was a definitive proof that Christianity just was wrong. Suppose, like I said, I know that's blasphemy, but just suppose for a second that there just one day we come across something that gives us 100% undeniable proof that Christianity was just fake and false and it was never real. What do you think would happen to America specifically?
I'd probably start making gross cartoons. Doesn't that sound like a really good jump in logic?
Shit would fall apart and shit would get weird, and it would change things in a way that isn't necessarily well. And also too, if you think about it, not even think about it, this is just fact. Japan's I know we've talked about this before, then we could get back to the leprechauns, but like their people are not doing too hot. People aren't having kids. People that's kind of global, but like, you know, everybody's just getting old. Nobody's having new kids. People can't afford to have families, and they don't want to because also sexism is so intense over there, supposedly. And like, it's just, there's no point to it. So like, there's actually a legitimate worry that their population is just declining at such a rapid rate that they might become endangered.
They're playing themselves. I mean, one of the reasons they're not having sex over there is because now they have pocket pussy shaped like their favorite anime characters, and I bet you they're buying that shit up. So that's not my fault. That's not my problem. That's their fault.
Who knows? Hard to say, but only time will tell. But enough about Japan. We need to go back to undersea leprechauns.
Let's go back to Ireland. Let's go back to Ireland, my wild Irish rose.
Another island off of the coast. Do you just have a thing against people from islands? Which is ironic because you're also Hawaiian.
No, I don't have a thing against people from islands. I just have a thing against everybody. I've made fun of Hawaiians. I've made fun of the Japanese, people who are part of my heritage, but they're not.
Right.
They're not free of my wrath.
True.
Because the thing with people on islands is they tend to be a little bit more backwards than society grounded on a continent, right? So like Hawaii. I'm Hawaiian. I'm deep in my culture with Hawaii more than Japan, but I'll call them out for their bullshit. Can't understand pidgin. They still wear grass skirts, and they are slaves to the white people for their tourism. Japan, xenophobes, pedophiles, train gropers, and shut-ins. That's all you have over there. And Ireland, another island, sheep fuckers, but they still wear the wool like jackets, which is kind of like a salt in the wound, right? Drunk. Beautiful landscape, though. I'll give them that much. It's fine, Their houses are made of cobble still, which is worrisome, because we have stucco and we have like foundations now. Like we have construction technology that has gone past rock huts with hay roofs. So there's things, and you can't understand what they're saying. So there's things going on all these islands, right? I think there's a correlation of islands. Madagascar. Another place that we could talk about that's a giant island. Nobody really lives on Madagascar, but the animals there are kind of dumb, right? They're all like brightly colored and like, oh, look how flamboyant I am. It's like, get out of my face. I get it, right?
Yeah. I got to say, I did do a class one time about like, we had a Pacific Islander section and it was about like history and like, indigenous people. Samoans are badass, dude. They have like and correct me if I'm wrong to anybody who knows, but I think it was the Samoans who, in this like Pacific Islands area where they actually developed a system of boating where like, I don't know how they did it, but they were able to travel like stupid distances to get from island to island, backboat, like way, like in ancient times, even. That's crazy. Those are some smart people.
They're smart. I keyed, man. I make fun of people because I have to. I can make fun of mainland people. I can go through every continent right now if you guys want. I'm not gonna, but I could. You got to make fun of everybody and you got to laugh at yourself, right?
True. That is some good life advice.
Okay. Another cute little fact about leprechauns is that
wow, what a segue.
Yeah, that was good, huh? Oh, man. So another little fact here is that much like fairies, they enjoy music and dancing and festivities. Yeah, and all that kind of stuff, tea parties and all that kinds of fun stuff. In fact, they love dancing so much that they often wear down countless pairs of shoes. And it's probably a good thing that they're cobblers, eh?
Probably where it started. I mean, yeah.
So they're just, dude, they're cutting a rug daily, nightly, and ever so rightly with those fucking fairies, man. And they're just laying it down. They're probably getting a bunch of fairy bush in their face, just like doing all kinds of fun stuff, man.
Sounds like a good lifestyle until, They were just terrorized by giants trying to steal all their entire network.
Until the white man came and was like, give me your gold. And they're like, what?
Yep. White people ruin everything.
So it is said that a leprechaun carries 1 gold coin. So I guess this is technically another legend about their gold, but I threw it in a fun fact section. So there's a legend that says leprechauns carry 1 gold coin for every year it has been alive. So as you could imagine, like they're given a gold coin every year. I don't know by who or something, or they created or something. But so as you could imagine, with them being magical beings and all, they probably carry a lot of gold coins on their person. And I don't think that includes the gold that they protect. I'm pretty sure it's like a set, like if this legend is correct, it's like a separate fund of gold that they get.
Oh, so they just get a yearly allowance, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from this one. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I can venture to say that leprechaun gold's probably worth more than real gold, possibly.
Because if you ever find leprechaun gold, not only did you get gold, but you found out leprechauns are real.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And like, I don't know. I don't know how to account for like fey inflation or shit like that. I don't know. Maybe it goes down for all we know. It's worth less than it ever has.
Maybe because people think you're fucking crazy and they're like, hey man, I got this gold coin from a leprechaun. They're like, okay, all right.
You're at the barbershop and they finish your cut and they're like, all right, that'll be like 15.25. You take fey gold.
Hey man, I was in the fey realm once and I saw some stuff. You take this coin here. Can you cut it in half for me and give me the change?
Yeah, probably would not go over well. I imagine something like that would happen in New York.
I could see that totally happening. New York, LA, man, Chicago. You go to one of those places, you're going to get a homeless guy telling you he found fey money.
Yeah, well, I think in New York, they would actually have, it would look like gold. But in LA, it would be some like methed out like psycho who's giving you like, I don't know, like a 25-cent bouncy ball and a rubber band, calling it fey gold or some shit like that.
I can see that.
That sounds more LA to me.
If you're ever in Ireland and you're wondering if a leprechaun is nearby, you can always tell by the sound of a tiny cobbler hammer hitting a nail into a shoe.
Mm-hmm. Or it could just be like your house cracking or something like that.
Yeah, because their houses are made of stones and hay. We've talked about this.
They're not all made out of stones and hay. They have normal buildings too.
I'm sure they do.
Mm-hmm. Can't believe it till you see it, huh?
Nope. I gotta visit. I gotta know. I gotta see it firsthand. If we ever do live shows in the future, we end up touring over to Ireland. Sure, I'll take back every word I said. But until then, in my mind, when I picture Ireland housing, I just picture like a single-story square shape compiled of different sized rocks with a door in the middle and hay on top, and a sheep out back. There's three different types of sheep. One for wool, one for food, and one for fucking. That's the 3 sheeps that I picture out back.
Oh dear. Maybe somebody follows that logic, but I don't think everybody.
All right. Well, another way that you can assume leprechauns are around is by using this simple formula. If there is an Irish person, a leprechaun is surely around them. So, Tasker, I got bad news for you. You probably have a leprechaun around you.
I know. That could be worse. I feel like I'd rather have that than most other things following me, like a demon. I wouldn't want that.
Good point. But if you ever see this leprechaun, be careful. Don't be tempted to steal its gold because it'll curse you or kill you.
Interesting. So if I hang out with my Irish friend, does that mean it's like a 1.5 chance more?
I would say so. And if you go over to her family's house, it's probably like an all-you-can-eat buffet of leprechauns over there.
You can smell the gold, and you can even smell the shoes being made.
You can smell the rubber, the metallic, nice smell of gold, and even some faint whiskey breath, right?
If I ever do, we'll put it to the test. I'll let you know and come back with my findings. If we ever do a show in Ireland, I would argue to say it might be one of our better ones or the worst one ever. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll probably get a bunch of shit thrown at me. It's fine. I'm accepting it.
Oh man, we'll see what we can do.
There is a genetic disorder named Donahue syndrome, aka leprechaunism. It is called this because those who have the syndrome have elf-like features and a tiny stature. I looked up photos of it. Unfortunately, all the pictures I saw were of infants. They did look weird, and they looked malformed and malnourished. And if you guys look it up, keep that in mind. It's a little sad. I had to throw it in here, though, because it had Leprechaun in it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and that is really fucking tragic looking.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, good thing they don't live in ancient Sparta, right?
What would that mean for them?
Oh man, they get thrown right off a cliff.
Oh yeah, no, they killed immediately.
But here is a little bit of good news for you guys. It turns out that leprechaunism is very rare. So as of today, the modern age, there's only been 50 cases that have ever been recorded. So much like the rarity of leprechauns themselves.
Interesting. Well, that's good to hear. It's not something that you can expect to see in your near future.
Exactly. Or in your unborn child's future. So I rest assured it probably won't happen.
Wild. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking through these pictures. I gotta look at something a little bit nicer. It's making me sad.
Yeah, it's depressing. It's not fun to look at.
You want to see what I'm looking at to make myself feel better?
What is it? Boobies?
Here. One sec. Sorry, I'm turning my webcam.
Here, I'll describe what I'm seeing. I was not wrong. It is a muscly cartoon character, two muscly women cartoon characters.
Hell yeah.
So Tasker, yeah, he's looking at two very muscly women, but they're, I think, animes. Was I right?
Yeah, you would be correct.
Huh. So that's what you look at instead, huh? So you just go right to like some jacked women anime characters?
Not all the time, but sometimes, you're in the mood for it.
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind when I hear things in the future for you. Maybe I'll,
What's that one thing they say? It's like, oh, if you like tomboys, you just want a boyfriend with tits. It's like, hey, maybe I do. You know what? Fuck you.
Hey, you know what? No judgment here. I've said it on this podcast before, guys. Nobody here is 100% straight. All right. So get off your high horse, suck some dick, do the thing.
What's that one video where it's like that one guy who's like, he's just like talking about how like, I've been sucking dick for like 6 months and y'all need to get on the fucking program.
Yeah.
Like, all you got to do is say no homo and it's totally completely fine. Why the fuck would they make the word if you can't even use it? A visionary, a man before his time. Amazing. All right. What else we got?
All right. Here's what we got next, guys. The next segment, let's see what our old friend Yahoo Answers has to say about leprechauns. Because as you all know, this is where the real information and the burning questions are.
Oh, dear. Oh, always a good time at Yahoo Answers.
First one. Question. I need to catch a leprechaun. Any ideas? Answers. Can of Guinness, piece of string, white van.
Oh my God. Favorite answer, 5 stars too.
5 stars. This next one was a very good answer, but he got downvoted twice for some reason. I thought it was a pretty sufficient answer. Step 1. You have seen a green blur out of the corner of your eye, have noticed your gold jewelry going missing, or have made it to the end of the rainbow. Now you are ready to set your trap. Step 2. The first thing every trap needs is bait. Use a cheap, shiny trinket as bait. Plastic gold coins work the best, I have found. No self-respecting leprechaun can turn down the opportunity to get a gold coin. Place the coin on the ground and glue a piece of string to it. The string shouldn't be more than 4 or 5 inches to be effective. Step 3. Now that you have your bait, you need the actual trap. Take a shoebox without a lid and prop it up with a stick so at the bottom of the box faces the ceiling. Tie the other end of the string to the stick. It's a classic shoebox trap. Classic.
Yeah, rabbit trap.
Rabbit trap. Step 4. Center the gold coin underneath the box. Now when the leprechaun tries to grab the gold coin, the string will pull the stick, causing the box to come tumbling down and catch the leprechaun. Step 5. Now, I know what you're thinking. There is no way a leprechaun would fall for something like that. They would see the box right away and realize it is a trap. That is a valid concern. Now, I don't want to call leprechauns stupid, but they have been known to hit the whiskey a little hard.
Perfect. So if you're lucky, they're just wasted and you got them.
They're like, oh, hey, somebody left a coin under that box over there. I wonder if
What
it's
a fool.
I'm going to go get that for me.
What sort of jackass left this bullshit around for me to grab?
Glug, 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 glug.
And I laugh, but I'm gonna get fucking like kidnapped like tomorrow or something during St. Pat. This might be my last episode because on St. Patrick's Day I'm gonna get shoeboxed.
You're going to get shoebox. People think you're a leprechaun, man.
Yeah, it'll be a tragic ending for my life.
Now, step 6. Now you have to get the leprechaun out from under the shoebox. This is where the butterfly net comes in. Quickly lift off the shoebox and swipe underneath it with the butterfly net. You have to move quickly. It says in all caps.
All caps. Yeah.
Leprechauns are fast little buggers, and a split-second hesitation will allow them to escape. Step 7. If you have done all of this right, you will now be the proud capture of a leprechaun. As such, you are entitled to his pot of gold as stated in the Code of Human/Leprechaun Interactions, Chapter 4, Article 7.23.1.
That sounds exaggerated.
Maybe, or this guy just knows something we don't.
Pasta. That's why I got downvoted. One is the U.S. government. The one's the Irish government.
Step 8, disclaimer. So I guess step 8 is just disclaimers. Most leprechauns are under 3 inches tall. However, they come in all sizes. If you happen to wake up in the morning and find a 7-foot creature dressed from head to toe in green with a shoebox on its head, don't panic. Offer him a peppermint patty, laugh awkwardly, back away slowly, and whatever you do, don't mention my name. Okay.
This guy sounds like he's got some issues.
Leprechauns have teeth, sharp ones. If you suffer from a leprechaun bite, you should immediately wash it off with lime juice. If any appendages fall off, I'm assuming, you should seek immediate medical help. And
well, that's kind of a given.
That's a given. But this dude's probably not a doctor, though.
Yes, true.
Leprechauns hate 4-leaf clovers. The shamrock has 3 leaves, no more, no less. A 4-leaf clover will send any leprechaun into a rage, which may result in damage to yourself and property. And he linked a source.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Wow.
His name's Clarence.
Jesus Christ, it's a troll link. Oh, God.
What was it? Oh,
it.
You dumbass. What was it?
It might have been an IP grabber. I might be fucked, but it just played a really loud noise and music. It said how to fit children's shoes.
Well, that's why you don't click on Clarence's links.
Fucking piece of shit. God damn, I fell for that so hard. Oh man.
Hey, that was a good answer though. I don't know why he got downvoted so much. That was good.
It's probably the link. It was probably the link.
Probably the link. Here's another one that I thought was quite funny because it was so incoherent. By Bryden Dolph. Leprechauns are inherently a bitch to capture. Capturing them merely approximately continually is composed of using some style of inveiglement. I say merely approximately continually because of the fact Jimmy Fleet-Footed McPherson is the only documented person to have ever caught a leprechaun simply by utilizing sheer, unequivocal sprightliness. Even while in captivity, leprechauns are notoriously annoying to interrupt. Their wit and psychological stubbornness is exceeded by utilizing few magical entities at a maximum 0 agnostics. What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Is he just like the type of fucker who, like, whenever he writes anything, he has a thesaurus open to make himself sound smarter, even though the big words he's using contextually don't work?
I think he's just a schizo. We on 4chan would call this guy a schizo.
Yeah, this is kind of try-hardy.
Yeah, I had to read that one because it's so fun to just listen to people ramble on with their big words. You know, I like what I pictured was some guy who had taken mushrooms one too many times and his mind was permanently open, which is sometimes a bad thing, right? And he was just
Agreed.
like incoherent, but his like vocabulary shot up super high, but he doesn't know how to like form sentences anymore.
I could see that. It was like with people who take ecstasy too much, eventually it just fries your brain and there's a point of no return.
Exactly. So who knows, man? Or maybe he is speaking the truth and there's actually leprechauns.
Maybe. I don't know. All I know is I'm right now currently scanning my computer for fucking viruses or people fucking breaking in.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, gotta be safe.
But let's move on to the next Yahoo answer, shall we?
Yes. Yes, we shall.
So this one is entitled "The Leprechaun in the Bathroom?" ? Oh, this is a joke.
Oh no.
Well, I'll read the joke anyway. Here we go.
Cool.
A little boy went to the bathroom at school, but when he went to wipe his bum, there was no toilet paper, so he used his hands.
Gross.
When he got back to class, his teacher asked him what he had in his hands. Quote, "A little leprechaun, and if I open my hand, he'll get scared away," unquote, the boy said. He was then sent to the principal's office, and the principal asked him what he had in his hands. A little leprechaun, and if I open my hands, he'll get scared away. He was sent home, and his mom asked him what was in his hands. A little leprechaun, and if I open my hands, he'll get scared away. He was sent to his room, and then his dad came in and asked him what he had in his hands. A little leprechaun, and if I open my hands, he'll get scared away. Then his dad got really mad and yelled, "Open your hands!" "Look, Dad, you scared the shit out of him."
Wow. That was an adventure.
Top comment. That doesn't sound like any little boy I know.
Sources, they would think it funny to show you a handful of crap. Yeah, he's got a point.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but how many little boys does Miclea G know? Is the thing. Miclea.
I don't know. Yeah, the joke was from Anonymous. And yeah, and also I feel like it's just I'm still having a hard time getting past the fact that this boy took a shit and just used his hands and just scooped it up and kept it.
Hey, sometimes if it's a real good shape or something, you know?
What was it? This just reminds me of that old limerick as a kid. I think they're called limericks. I don't know. But it's a little song, but it's like when you're sitting on the john and the toilet paper's gone, be a man, use your hands. Oh, that used to crack me the fuck up.
That's gross. That's fucking nasty.
Oh, that was enlightening.
I don't have a scat fetish, so it's like kind of gross to me when I think about it.
Yes, no, shit is gross. That's why we call it shit, because it's not pleasant.
Ugh. People are gross, man.
They are. It's not like we said before. There's just a point of no return for some things in life. And sometimes a scat fetish is one of those.
Yeah. All right. On to the third Yahoo answers. And this one hails from New Zealand. And this is posted by Victoria Justice in parentheses, not the real one. So I guess
the real Victoria Justice.
So I guess Victoria Justice had a question about leprechauns, and that question is, what scares a leprechaun? I was up last night thinking about what scares a leprechaun because I caught one in my tissue box where there was pennies, and I got some footprints. So what scares a leprechaun? Good question.
Interesting.
First answer, favorite answer. Oh, goodness, you have problems. Leprechauns can be a bugger to get rid of, and if you piss one off, heaven help you because the wee folk won't. Let him have the pennies. Bake some cookies for him, preferably not chocolate. They don't do well with chocolate. Act like you really want him to stay, and usually they will just leave to be contrary. Don't let him see you undress unless you are particularly ugly, as leprechauns are lusty little things and will never leave. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
dear. And he might try to invade your dreams and to evade you, so to speak.
So was fucking Freddy Krueger a leprechaun?
It's kind of starting to sound like it because he was lusty, because he touched kids, and that was the whole reason that he got burnt. Right. And he invades dreams. So maybe.
Yeah. Well, So chocolate, I guess, is the weakness then.
Just feed him some chocolate cookies. Or this person posted, last resort, call upon your house pixie. House pixie will, if push comes to shove, defend his or her territory from a leprechaun, but they too would prefer to just let them leave on their own. War between wee folk can be very messy and cause a lot of unforeseen problems. Good luck to you.
That I don't feel assisted really at all.
I mean, they gave a couple pointers, but it didn't really help with myself. Like, if I was in Victoria Justice's shoes, I would not feel comforted.
Yeah, I don't. What the fuck is a house pixie?
I don't know, but they capitalized both words, so I'm assuming it's important. It sounds like a house pixie is another fae being, pixie, but I guess it just likes hanging out in houses.
Or like inherently a house pixie gets assigned for every new structure that gets built. I don't know. That's that. Yahoo Answers.
Yahoo Answers. You've done it again.
Yep. Classically confusing.
Second answer. The most insulting thing to leave out is a bowl of Lucky Charms. Be sure to have the box right there with that cartoon guy looking at the leprechaun. They are very insulted by this.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be too. That's pretty, you're just kind of being mean.
That's ridiculous. All right, on to the last one for Yahoo Answers. Let's see what we have. This one is posted by Ryan. What does it mean when you see a leprechaun? This is probably one of the most vivid memories of my childhood. Seeing a leprechaun. No, my brother, whom was with me at the time, also saw the leprechaun. One morning, when I was a child, roughly 5 to 6 years old, I woke up like normal and looked down the hall. Roughly 10 to 15 feet away from me, I saw a leprechaun around 1 to 2 feet tall, standing with his hands on his hips, kind of just looking around. I remember being so surprised, I woke my brother, 4 to 5 years old, without taking my gaze off the leprechaun. When he woke, I asked if he could see what I could see. To this day, he firmly maintains seeing and retelling the exact same story as me. We just sat there and stared at him until he noticed that we were looking at him, leprechaun, okay? When Jesus Christ, dude.
God, they're really going hard to make sure we know what they're talking about.
Yeah, the amount of parentheses in this so far is just it's like a fucking algebra problem.
PEMDAS.
PEMDAS.
Oh, good God.
When he noticed, he started teasing us by sticking out his tongue, kind of doing the nanner booger. He said nanner booger.
That's not how I remember it, but I don't know.
Hands by the face and bouncing side to side. My brother and I both got up, grabbed a pillow, and chased down the hall at the leprechaun. He darted down the staircase. We had U-stairs that went right, U as in the shape, I guess, that went right along each other, no space down the middle. And as we reached the top of the stairs, we saw him bounding down toward the bottom of the staircase. I chucked my pillow, he dodged it, and my brother and I looked through the bars of the stairs and saw my pillow at the bottom. Being kids, I don't recall talking about it after, and we just went back to sleep. When we awoke, we were too afraid to go downstairs. We looked and still saw my pillow where I threw it.
Interesting. And I did not think this would be interesting, and yet it is.
Yeah, that's quite the story. Let's see what Photon X has to say.
He's a level 7 member, so
oh shit.
Walk in with caution.
I'm assuming this is satire, an underappreciated art when it comes to the unemotive written word, especially in this forum.
Fucking neckbeard. Jeez.
Just in case it isn't, though, it's worth pointing out that memory is fluid and not the rock-solid historical record we might wish it were. That's an order of magnitude more true for childhood memories. Children the ages you and your brother were have notoriously overactive imaginations. They conflate dreams with waking experiences and can't differentiate between fantasy and reality. You probably both believed in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy when you saw the leprechaun, ? If a first grader and a kindergartner came up to you today and made such a claim, would you believe them? Of course not. Nor should you, even if the first grader is you. Unless, of course, the leprechaun is a warning of a terrorist attack. And then, of course, this neckbeard piece of shit posts 2 clips to South Park's episode. I don't even have to click on the links. It's for Imagination Land when the leprechaun was telling about a terrorist attack, blah, blah, blah. This fucking neckbeard, man.
I hate him. I don't like him. It's like over explaining something. Dude, oh my God. It's one thing to be like, dude, if you were just fucking dreaming. Sure. Okay. But like, it's this over elaboration that really makes people like this really unlikable. It's that sort of, it's the biggest and easiest way to respond to these is just 2 simple words. Who asked?
Yeah.
Fucking neckbeards online. Jesus. Leave it to Yahoo.
Leave it to Yahoo to just find. Here's another one. I know I said that was the last one, but I found this other one I think we should talk about real quick.
All right.
Posted by Anonymous. I found a pot of gold. Does this mean leprechauns must exist? Pots of gold are made by leprechauns, according to this book I read. So the existence of the pot must mean that leprechaun is real, right? I suppose this also means that I get a wish if I catch one. I picked up some leprechaun bait at my local hunting supply, and I'm going to monitor it for a while.
No, okay.
First answer, favorite answer is it means gold exists.
Good.
Which is true.
Right.
Second answer, oh boy, it's true. If there is any feces in the vicinity of the pot of gold, that means a unicorn has blessed it. You can now track down the unicorn by melting the gold down and making a brittle. A virgin must put the brittle on the unicorn. Unicorns have an amazing sense of smell, so use the pot you found to gold in the have it track down the leprechaun. Have fun on your adventure. Of course, if there are no feces, then the gold is cursed, and you should get rid of it before harm befalls you.
Some of this just feels like trolls, man. I don't know. I don't know,
man. It's kind of hard to tell if Oki thinks that this is real or not. OQI, and sometimes it's hard. And here is one last answer. God created the rainbow in the first place. It is his reminder to us that he'll never flood the whole earth again. Simply on account that you are not able to see something doesn't suggest that it would not exist. The proof is in our everyday lives. We're right here considering of God. Although they've now found wagon wheels at the bottom of the Crimson Sea then this dude just goes on like a sermon, right? He just he doesn't mention leprechauns once in his answer. He talks about the pharaohs and shit.
You think there's ever like youth pastors at like Christian Catholic churches that just spend their day just on like Yahoo Answers trying to convert people?
Yeah, they go to the weird side of Yahoo Answers that we're always on, where they're asking about succubi and leprechauns, and they're like, no, they're turning my poor babies.
I take this opportunity to save the souls of the randos online.
Yeah. Oh man, just doing God's work, literally.
Literally. Yeah, that's not a bad way to spend your day. Honestly, dude, I would fucking fake it to be able to do that for a living.
True. I mean, they could be doing worse stuff. You know, they could be on different forums, if you know what I mean.
Yes, a lot of that deep web stuff that you've been dabbling in.
Hey, whoa. I go on the deep web for investigative purposes, all right? Nothing more, all right? I'm trying to find something I can't find. Nobody can find it. Maybe we'll talk about it on an episode in the future, so I'm not going to give it away yet. But it's been driving me nuts.
Yeah, this is true though. I know you've been saying that deep web stuff is the biggest perk about it is that it's very unbiased.
It's very unbiased, man. There's a lot of news sources on there and journalist sources where journalists in oppressed countries can actually go on and tell us what's for sure happening without any repercussions to them. So we get the actual, like what's happening in North Korea, what's happening in China, you know, what's happening in Russia.
Well, there's that place, Myanmar or something like that, where there's that huge coup.
Yeah, and that dumb bitch made a TikTok or whatever, and she was, come on, like choose a better time. You know what I mean? Did you see that? You saw that? I know that's kind of a dead meme at this point, but did you see that video where she was like doing like a dance thing or like an exercise thing? And then in the background, the coup was taking place, and there's like tanks. And
Yeah,
it's like, come
you
on,
could see
lady,
all
what
the
the fuck?
tanks. I mean, to be fair, I don't think she knew, but like, it was an interesting glimpse at things in real time.
I didn't mean to call her a dumb bitch. That was unsavory.
A little bit of bad taste.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I'm sure everyone forgives you.
All right, guys. Well, let's get away from Yahoo Answers. I feel kind of gross from that.
Same.
Our second to last topic for today's episode is something of great importance, a conspiracy that, if true, could be the end of children around the world. Okay.
Oof. That's a pretty heavy lead up.
We have discovered here at Close Encounters that there is indeed a connection between Count Chocula, our sworn enemy,
True,
and Lucky, the Lucky Charms leprechaun.
Yeah, it's, if you've been following us, you know that the wounds with Chocula cut deep on us and is a source of insomnia, stress, bleakness, dejection, and all kinds of other problems.
Yeah. Depression. I have to binge drink on the weekends to forget about Count Chocula, right?
He's always there, and it's like he may not be coming to get you right this moment, but you know, sometimes it just makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder. So, Lucky, though, let's talk about Lucky for a second. He seems pretty benign, right? Wouldn't you say, Tasker, at first glance? A cute little cartoon leprechaun. He's got his own catchphrase, you know?
Yep. Bright, colorful, smiley, big ol' eyes, a lot of optimism and aspirations.
Exactly. Now, take those into account, and you'll realize the issue at hand, and he's using it. So it goes deep. Basically, the beginning of this starts with Lucky and Count Chocula and how they first met in college. They were in the same fraternity, and that's where shit starts hitting the fan. At this fraternity, they did hazing rituals, right? And I'm not talking about these rituals that you see in like college or teen movies where it's like embarrassing or humiliating, you know, spanking each other, all this dumb homoerotic stuff. Nothing wrong with it, but you know, it's there.
It's a little bit different when it's forced, you know?
It's different when it's forced, and the rituals I'm talking about that took place at this particular fraternity are more of the skull and bones variety. All right? They're often involving death and human sacrifice. Well, after college, Lucky and Count Chocula went their separate ways, as we mostly do after school, right, with your friends, but only for a brief while. Count Chocula, he knew what he wanted to do right away. He was innately evil and began doing evil things directly after college. Right? He was trying to take over the world, and he was killing anyone in his way, not unlike a certain Adolf Hitler.
Mm-hmm. And this was years before his registry onto the sex offender registry, right?
Yeah, he hadn't gotten caught yet with the stuff he was doing.
Oh, he'd been doing it, and he'd been doing it frequently. But, you know, as they say, it's like, you know, the more you do it, the better chance you'll slip.
Yep, exactly. And he did. So he was caught eventually, but that never stopped him. He was still trying to take over the world, and he is to this day, as we know.
Exactly.
But around this same time, Lucky the Leprechaun was trying to make it in Hollywood, right? He had heard
Life of Stardom.
Yeah, he wanted to be a big star. He wanted to be in the talking pictures, right?
Yeah.
So we heard that auditions were taking place for a new mascot at General Mills for a new cereal coming out called Lucky Charms. And he was like, hey, what the fuck, right? My name's Lucky. The cereal's called Lucky Charms. It's an Irish folklore themed cereal. I'm a leprechaun, right? I got this in the bag, baby. I can get this role. I can nail it.
Yep. And if he's living in LA, Hollywood, you know, you got to make that rent, and it ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap. It ain't easy being cheesy in LA, dude, because it's fucking expensive. So he's like, I'll take it. So he went to the audition. He got the job, as we all know. And, you know, Lucky believed that this was going to be a temporary job, a stepping stone, if you will, to eventually get him into a leading role in a major motion picture, as you do in Hollywood.
Looking to get a Scorsese film.
Yeah, Scorsese, Woody Allen, if he was feeling particularly fetishy that day, you know?
Exactly.
Now, during this time, as the mascot for Lucky Charms, Lucky was approached by his old pal, Count Chocula, with the deal of a lifetime. Now, Chocula had unlocked the secret to ultimate power and immortality, something that we all know now. And he was willing to share this secret with Lucky. And in return, all he asked for was simply the souls of children. And how convenient is it that those commercials for Lucky Charms always had children in them? So Lucky agreed to the deal, and that is where we leave off. Lucky kills the kids in the commercials. Their souls are absorbed by Count Chocula, and Lucky is now immortal and all-powerful. The perfect symbiotic evil relationship.
But and we got to say too, Lucky, we think isn't necessarily like we said, he was tempted by the power. He was tempted by the very infectious need to continue living beyond his own time. But there is a sort of like, he's a little regrettable for what he's done. I feel like over time it does take a toll on him, and I don't think he's super proud of it. But you know what? Sometimes you do what you got to do to keep living, and especially with a deal like Chocula, which we see countless times in history, you get too deep and you can't get out.
There's something so alluring about immortality and all these different powers being blessed upon you, and it'll make the noblest and the purest of hearts turn to evil. It's so tempting.
Yeah. I mean, when we all want to pretend we have the moral high ground to be able to withstand, some shithead trying to direct us in a direction. But you know what, man? And it's like what they say, like with cults. I remember talking to somebody about this, where I was talking about I forget what it was. It was some cult thing. And it was a professor at my old college. And he came up to me and he was like, yo, like, that's actually no joke what you're talking about. Like, some of the smartest people I know have fallen into cults. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, because you may think you're above it. But the thing is, when you're in a desperate situation, or when you're in a situation where you're lacking something like money, job, like human interaction, or a community, that's the word I was looking for, a community, they will leap on that so hard because you want so badly for it to be true that you will kind of let it be true in your head, and so it begins.
That's why I started doing Scientology classes.
How's that working for you?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, you losing half your paycheck already?
I'm not at that level yet, but I'm almost OT4. So as soon as I hit OT5, that's when the real money start taking big bucks for their classes. But I mean, so far I'm loving it, man. Everybody's so nice. I got to sign up for this really cool thing. It looked like a fake contract because they said something about like a bajillion years on this, something called the Sea Org. But I thought, hey, that sounds kind of cool on a boat for a while. They thought it was like a cruise, right? So I signed up for that. That should be fun.
I feel like a game of Warhammer or D&D would be more fulfilling than that, and cheaper.
Yeah, man. But hey, like you said, I needed my sense of community, bro, and I found it in Xenu.
Good for you. I am happy to hear it.
It's the only major religion I can find that has aliens in it, bro. Come on. Of course I was going to gravitate towards that one at one point in my life.
And I thought you were probably going to invent your own.
I'm trying, but nobody wants to join my cult. I mean, religion. Nobody wants to join my religion, so it's like super hard.
You gotta give it time. Like everything, like with our podcast, it just, sometimes you gotta drag through the mud for a little bit before, the good stuff happens.
I know, you're right. Maybe I'll try again. Maybe I'll quit Scientology and try again.
Buy that robe, wear that mask, set those fires.
Woo! All right, and really quick about that conspiracy between Count Chocula and Lucky, a lot of you out there are probably thinking it's nuts, right? Like I've lost like a screw in my head. Well, let me just ask one question to you naysayers out there. Have you ever seen one of those kids from the Lucky Charms commercials ever again? No.
A lot of repeats.
Or just a new slab of kids. So just saying, I never seen him afterwards. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, we know exactly. They destroyed their immortal soul to help these fucking raging pedos survive.
But that's a conspiracy, and it's a gnarly one. So keep a lookout on that. Look, I'm starting to get buzzed. Let's get into the final segment, the one that I've personally been looking forward to on our Irish Palooza episode today.
Right.
We all love horror here, right? To a certain degree. Tasker, I know that you like to watch some horror movies because you like getting scared. You like doing that, right?
I like the lore of horror, and I like the idea because I feel like it really explores that inherent fear. And I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of humanity, but also it scares the shit out of me and keeps me awake.
Good. And sometimes there's something good about getting spooked, right? That just kind of like makes you feel alive.
A little bit.
I love horror. I'm desensitized to most of it, but I still love it. It's probably my favorite genre, equal with comedy. Love horror movies. I'm sure a lot of our listeners do. So, you know what? Nick sat down last night and watched a classic horror comedy movie of the season, Leprechaun from 1993. All right. I'm sure some of you out there, all of you out there know about it. I don't know if any of you have actually seen it. Tasker, have you seen this movie before?
I have not seen Leprechaun. I should have watched it, but I watched Soul instead last night.
Yeah, tomato, sure. Okay. So luckily for you and for those, I'm sure many listeners out there who have not seen this movie, I took notes. I have a little synopsis, and I'm going to give a brief review of the film. So let's take a look at Leprechaun from 1993.
I'm very interested in what you have to say about this.
The movie begins with an old Irish couple, the O'Brady's. Oh, the O'Brady's, right? Both first full-blooded Irish people. They live in this small house in the middle of nowhere in North Dakota. The old man comes back from his mother's funeral in Ireland with what you think is her ashes. But it turns out that he found a leprechaun while in Ireland and caught it and got the said leprechaun's gold. That's what was in the box that was shipped from Ireland. He didn't give a fuck about his mom's ashes. He's like, yo, I got this gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
A leprechaun snuck into the man's luggage and reveals himself, causing the wife to die falling down the stairs. The man shoots the leprechaun and nails it into a wooden crate and then tries to set said crate on fire. Before he can, the leprechaun curses him and the man dies of a heart attack. Then, 10 years later, right? 10 years later pops up on the screen. Super lazy exposition. An obnoxious red Jeep is driving along a highway through the hills of North Dakota. It is a young woman and her father, apparently headed to a vacation house for the summer. The Jeep arrives at the house, and it's, yes, you guessed it, the house of the old couple who were killed in the first opening scene, but just 10 years later. Out of the car steps a 22-year-old Jennifer Aniston in the shortest sundress I have ever seen, which was pretty dope.
Jennifer Aniston was in
Oh,
it?
yeah. It was pre-Friends. It was just before Friends, and it was pre-Nose Job, too. So her nose was a little bit bigger in this movie.
Oh, I gotta see this. Hold on, what's it? Jennifer, not Lopez, Aniston, Leprechaun. No fucking way. Okay, this is great. Wow, you ain't kidding.
I told you, man. I told you it's the shortest sundress I ever did see.
Good Lord. Wow. Okay. All right.
So her and her father explore the house. Oh, by the way, Jennifer Aniston's character's name is Tori. Okay. So her and her father explore the house. And Tori she's kind of this valley girl. She's not very fond of tarantula infested basements and old dilapidated houses. the tarantula shots they use in the movie were very unnecessary, by the way. Scared the living shit out of me. Those are the only things I'm afraid of is spiders, and unnecessary. Okay.
Right.
Didn't appreciate that. So after storming out of the gross house, much like I would have at this point, Tori literally runs into a young man doing work on the house, painting the house. So he's this jacked, very handsome young man. Now, classically, it's like one of those dumb sitcoms where she changes her mind about leaving the house because she sees this hot dude named Nathan. So she's like, actually, never mind. I'll stay and help paint the house with this weird, strange painter man just because he's jacked, you know?
That's how it goes. Every Hallmark film.
Every Hallmark film. And then we meet Ozzy, a fat and lovable painter also working on the house along with Nathan. And we also meet Nathan's 10-year-old alcoholic brother named Alex.
10-year-old?
Yeah, he's like 10, I think.
And he's an alcoholic?
Well, okay, look, I may have exaggerated for the synopsis that I wrote, but there was a line in the movie where they finished painting something or something, and him and Ozzy sit down because they have like this weird relationship, him and the kid and this fat guy. And the kid's like, I could use a beer right now. I was like, what the fuck? So I guess he's an alcoholic. I'm not sure.
Whack. Okay. All right. That's weird.
So Tori, and also I should say Ozzy, the fat guy, and Alex, the 10-year-old kid. This relationship is Ozzy's kind of mentally handicapped. I mean, they don't put it out there, but he's the dumb comedic relief. And the 10-year-old acts as his keeper, right? It's a very strange relationship.
Okay.
Tori brings some drinks down to the basement to Nathan, where he is working, and they're about to discover the leprechaun, whose name Lubden, I'm pretty sure is how you say it. But they're distracted by the fat and lovable Ozzy upstairs because he spills a bunch of paint on himself, right?
Oh.
As Ozzy is trying to clean himself up, he hears creepy, childlike singing, much like the singing the O'Brady's heard in the beginning of the movie when Lubden kills them. He goes down to the basement, and a little girl's voice is coming from the wooden box, asking for him to let her out. And of course, as Ozzy gets closer, Lubden bursts out of the box. The leprechaun asks the fat guy if he has seen his gold, and he says that he hasn't. Ozzy did get away, and started going on about a leprechaun in the basement to the others, sounding like a complete psychopath. Now, naturally, the whole gang goes down to investigate, thinking that he's full of shit, but alas, they find nothing but a busted-up wooden crate. And the gang comes back outside to continue painting the house, and a rainbow appears in the background. Retardedly, Ozzy suggests that they go look for a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. After seeing a terrifying looking leprechaun, he sees a rainbow. Is like, you know what sounds real good right now is I'm gonna go look for find me a pot of gold over there.
What's funny is as you're talking about this, I'm watching clips to see what get it firsthand, and I see what you're saying about the tarantula shots.
Yeah, unnecessary, man, and they go on for far too long.
Mm-hmm. They linger, and that sundress is pretty damn short.
It's very short. So Ozzy's like, hey, let's go look for that pot of gold with the rainbow. The actual grown-ups in the group say no because they have common sense. So Jennifer Aniston and the hot dude, they don't go. Ozzy goes over there with his 10-year-old handler, Alex, right? Goes with him.
Okay.
They reach the end of the rainbow, and the end of the rainbow is an old 1950s truck that is abandoned and broken down. And there is a gold coin in the truck. And then a whole sack of gold coins appears in the truck. So Ozzy thinks the best thing to do is to test the gold to see if it is real by biting on it. And of course, because he's the comedic relief and also fat, he accidentally swallows a gold coin.
Oh, man. What was this, the 90s?
93, yeah.
That sounds about right.
So he swallows a gold coin. There's one in his tummy now. The 10-year-old then suggests that they use the gold to pay for some kind of operation to make Ozzy smart. This Ozzy guy is dumber than a bag of pine cones. Like, it reminds me the relationship between Ozzy and a 10-year-old is the same relationship from Of Mice and Men between Lenny and what's the other dude's name?
Oh, fuck. George.
Oh, that's right. So it reminds me of George and Lenny, but it's a fat guy and a 10-year-old. That's like the same relationship I'm getting here.
Curious.
So back at the house, Tori and Nathan are painting the house, and the sexual tension is palpable, right? He's like doing the whole thing where, like, you know what golfers, when like you see in movies and they're like, hey, yeah, you gotta choke up on the club there, and they like get behind her and they're like kind of humping, you know, kind of the same thing going on, but they're painting a house. And she's wearing these little denim shorts, right? So that's not helping at all. So
no.
Anyway, so Tori goes to the pickup to get more paint, and the leprechaun, Lubden, is under the truck, and he begins to stroke her legs ever so gently. So she thought it was Nathan trolling her and gets all hot and bothered. But then Nathan comes back into the frame, and she's like, if you're there, then who was under the truck, right?
Oh, my God.
So she jumps away, and there's claw marks on her leg. They hear a cat noise coming from a tree nearby the truck, so they all thought that the cat did it. Tori's dad reaches into the tree to try to save the cat, but something bites him pretty badly, and he's bleeding all over the place. And, of course, it's the leprechaun, which they don't know. They never see it, but we see it as the viewer. It was the leprechaun making cat noises. Apparently, he can mimic noises and voices of other people. They then all hop into the truck, go to the hospital, drop the dad at the hospital and get his hand stitched up. Now, once they're gone, Lubden goes into the barn, the leprechaun, and peels out on a tricycle. I don't know where he got the tricycle, but he just peels out of there, right, on a tricycle.
Is that how Saw got inspired?
It sounds kind of similar, and they're the same size on a tricycle.
Interesting.
So on his tricycle, he follows the fat guy and the kid who found the gold. So while Tori's dad's at the hospital, they went to like a pawn shop or something, and they wanted to get like a value estimate on the gold that they found. The shop owner asked to keep the gold coin overnight to study it, and they agree, which was, first off, a really dumb move, but, you know, what are you going to do? True. The shop owner is examining the coin, and he hears a sinister ring of a tricycle bell. Ring, 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 ring. All of a sudden, Lubden pops out and bites the shop owner and then roasts him a little bit, and then he asks for his gold coin back. Lubden finds out, so in order to torture and kill this guy, he finds a pogo stick in the store and hops up and down on the shop owner, impaling him with the pogo stick over and over until he's dead. It's a pretty cool scene.
It doesn't sound like it, but I'll take your word for it.
It was the only good scene in the movie. A little sneak peek to my review after the synopsis. Lubden gets one of his gold coins back from the shop owner after killing him, and he says only 99 to go. So then Lubden jacks this toy car thing. I think he got it at the store, I'm not sure, and is speeding down the highway in this little toy car, like a leprechaun in a toy car, and then the 5-0 sees him speeding and pulls him over. After some shitty comedic dialogue between the cop and the leprechaun, Lubden scratches the cop's face, and they begin a chase through the woods. And after a little bit of cat and mouse, Lubden ends up jumping on top of the cop from the tree above him and snaps his neck. That's kill numero 4, if we're keeping count, and also if we're counting the indirect deaths of the old couple in the beginning.
I feel like I could probably watch this movie.
Oh, yeah, bro. Just wait for my review, man. You could totally watch this anytime. Like you could watch this at 2 and be fine. Like 2 in the morning.
God.
Lubden makes his way back to the house looking for his cold. His cold? Oh, I was starting as my synopsis and my review went on last night, I became progressively more drunk. So there will be typos here.
Totally fair.
Lubden made his way back to the house looking for his gold, while the others are still out and about. So he was rifling through the kitchen, and he stumbles upon a box of Lucky Charms. Ha ha ha. Humorous. He then rummages through the house and finds every pair of shoe he can shining and cleaning them rigorously as if he had OCD. Because remember, leprechauns are cobblers by trade, and apparently they can't resist shining a good old shoe. This will become important later.
Curious.
The whole gang finally comes back to the house, and they see that the house has clearly been ransacked. But they don't seem that worried about it. Like, Tori, Jennifer Aniston's character is kind of like, I'm going to go stay at a hotel. Everybody else is like, whatever, which is very strange to me. Later that night, the crew hears the sinister chime of the tricycle bell. Big Balls hotshot Nathan goes outside to check it out and falls into a bear trap set by the leprechaun.
Right.
Wow, I wrote that. A fight ensues. And after a bit, everyone comes out to aid Nathan, now revealing that the leprechaun is indeed real and Ozzy was right all along. So then the group just starts beating the shit out of it. They even shoot him with a shotgun a few times, and green blood spews out of his wound, which is pretty cool, I guess. But it didn't do anything to him, and essentially he just slips away. They get Nathan to the truck to get him medical attention, but of course, since this is a horror movie and a bad one at that, the truck does not start. They send a 10-year-old out of the truck to look under the hood, which is a great move, by the way. Like bait, right? They're using him like bait.
They're desperate.
He pops the hood, and Lubden is, of course, in the engine and ready to kill and pops out at the 10-year-old. Alex, the 10-year-old, gets back in the car. Lubden terrorizes them from outside. Oh, no, so scary. He breaks through the windshield. They fight him off with one of those old school cigarette lighters by putting it on his nose or something. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention at this part. The crew slips out of the truck and runs back to the house with Lubden in full pursuit. And they close the door on his hand, and his hand gets ripped off. But no matter. His hand can move on his own because it's magical, and it crawls back to him, and he runs off with his hand.
I've been capable of performing some pretty superhuman feats while wasted drunk on whiskey, so I can see it.
Right? Yeah. And plus, he's a leprechaun, right? So,
right.
You never know what they can do, I guess. But still, it was like because we never learn about what happened to his hand or how he got it back on. It's just it gets cut off. And then in the next scene he's in, his hand's back on him. So I don't
know. Continuity.
Love it. After some squabbling among the humans, Tori finds out that Ozzy and Alex found some gold in that old truck earlier in the movie. And they determine that the best course of action is to get the gold and give it back to the leprechaun, since clearly that's what he wants. Tori gets the sack of gold from the hiding spot, and Lubden appears. She gives him the sack of gold, and he runs away gleefully. But as he is counting the gold to make sure all 100 coins are there, he gets to 99. But he is missing a coin. Now, does anybody remember where this coin is?
In the
belly. In the belly. All right. It's in Ozzy's belly. Lubden attacks the house again, hiding in the cabinets of the kitchen, popping in and out of different ones like a fucking Scooby-Doo song segment, right? The final fight ensues in the house. Floorboards are broken. The leprechaun is shot a few more times with a shotgun to no avail, blah, 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 right? It goes on for a while. It's painful. Then the realization comes that Ozzy has the last gold coin in his stomach, and that is what he wants. They run out to the car to try to make another escape, even though it has been established the truck is not working. So I'm not sure what they're going for. Lubden chases them to the truck, but they have a secret weapon. In order to distract him, they start throwing shoes because he has to fucking shine them like a slave boy cobbler leprechaun that he is. So this scene is so dumb. It's literally them throwing pairs of shoes to distract him, and him running back and forth, picking them up and shining them real quick. And him, it's hard to watch. So
it's almost racist.
Yes, it's more racist than me, and that's saying something.
Yes.
So he's literally running the shoes in an attempt to shine every single one of them. The side note, I got really drunk at this point in the movie and stopped taking notes. But basically, Tori goes to an old person's home type hospital thing, where we find out the old man from the beginning apparently survived his heart attack curse, but Lubden was in the room waiting for her because she went over there to find out how to kill a leprechaun, to ask him.
Right.
Lubden, of course, was waiting in the room in the wheelchair. Another chase takes place. Long story short, Tori finds out that in order to kill the leprechaun, she needs to find a 4-leaf clover to put it like on him or something. So she's out in the field looking for one, but is attacked again. After some tasteful chase scene shots of Aniston in denim shorts, right, she gets to a clover patch and eventually finds a 4-leaf clover. Back at the barn by the house, Lubden is about to put the 10-year-old kid's head in a bear trap when the gang comes to save him. The kid says, "Fuck you, Lucky Charms," to Lubden as he slingshots the 4-leaf clover wrapped in bubblegum into Lubden's mouth, pushing him into a well and destroying him. Lubden's deformed, melted face peers up from the top of the well saying he wants his gold, and they push him back down and then blow up the well, effectively double tapping the leprechaun. The end.
That sounds fucking terrible.
Okay. I was happy to watch it drunk. I would never watch it sober.
Never.
So here's my review. Okay. It's a movie, right?
Yeah.
It was a film. It was something that somebody made, regrettably, like for better or worse. Now, one thing I love about this movie is it didn't take itself too seriously. It's a horror comedy. I can appreciate that. It's fine.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. Well, although one kind of not to do with the movie itself, but with the lead man. Another thing I did like was Warwick Davis, right? He was the one that played Lubden the Leprechaun. And as a little fun fact here, Warwick is also known for playing the main Ewok in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. So he's been around.
I was going to say that name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So he's a very famous a very famous man.
Yes. Wow.
Okay. Now me personally, I love copious amounts of gore and I like clever kills in horror movies. So this movie did not deliver in that department as far as I'm concerned. The closest thing was the pogo stick scene. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. You were saying that it sounds like they really go like pretty hard on that. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of curious. Like I might watch the film, just to kind of get the full experience.
You should watch it. That was the pogo stick scene is the only good scene, but even that scene isn't that good because it's just jump cuts and there's not that much gore. And I don't know, man. I mean, it was aight for the movie. Compared to the rest of the movie, it was the best scene.
So what's your overall out of 10? What would you rate it?
Hold on. I got a couple more things. I got a couple more bones to pick with this movie before I give a full rating.
All
okay.
right.
So something that they really fucked up on and they missed an opportunity was with Ozzy, right? The fat guy who accidentally ate the coin. He should have been killed, right?
Okay.
First issue, none of the main cast was killed, which in a horror movie is a big no-no for me.
Right.
And he ate the coin. Yes, it would have been predictable for him to be killed, but that would have been cool to see, right? At least he would have gotten a cool kill where he gets gutted like a pig, and then like Lubden reaches into his stomach and gets his coin out. That would have been cool, but no.
Mm-hmm.
They went the safe route and killed the leprechaun at the end, and now Ozzy's just gonna have to digest that coin. It's fucking dumb.
Wow. That's that sounds not very entertaining.
And what I mean by the whole cast not getting killed is or somebody in the cast not getting killed. I'm not asking for like Jennifer Aniston to be like the final girl, but it would have been cool to at least have somebody get killed. You know what I mean? But no, everybody just happens to make it out. It's one of those movies. Everybody just happens to make it out. That's on the main cast. Once the dad is dropped off at the hospital, we never see him again. So that was like a big weird plot hole. Like he just doesn't exist anymore. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, man. All in all, not scary. Briefly, we need to touch on the comedy aspect because it is a comedy horror movie. I'm not a comedic genius, and I am not qualified to talk about what is and isn't funny. I mean, if you guys listen to the jokes I make on the podcast, that will be painfully clear to you, okay? But I can say subjectively, this was a painfully unfunny movie. Perhaps my laugh box is just broken, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased or something, or maybe the jokes were funny to a broader audience in the early 90s, right? But for me personally, not funny.
Okay.
Final verdict. Was it scary? No. Was it funny? No. It was a terrible movie. I give it 9 out of 10 boiled tomatoes. Would watch again.
Well, what a way to cap off this. This has been an episode.
It's been an episode. Yeah, it was a terrible movie. So what I figured we could do moving forward with these annual Leprechaun episodes is I will put myself through, because there's a lot of these movies. There's like 8 of them in this franchise. So I will do my best to review them in the future. But that's all we had for Leprechauns 2021.
That's it. And that is it. And oh man, once we do this for 8 years, eventually we'll just have to start watching Luck of the Irish over and over and over again. So that'll be interesting. But I'm exhausted because I am not used to drinking whiskey that early in the day. But I'm glad we made it. I hope you all made it too. Fuck. Here we are.
Here we are at the end. Here, I'll close it out today. Tasker, do you want me to close it out today?
Yeah, you know what? Why not? Yeah, let's switch it up.
All right, I'll close it out because I'm feeling tired too. But I know, man. We're not going to talk about Count Chocula. You guys know we're working on the episode. You already know the conspiracy behind Lucky, so we went into it in depth, right? So we know what's happening there. iTunes, rate, review, go find us on there. Let us know what you think. Spotify, go ahead and follow us on Spotify. New episodes every single Wednesday. We don't miss a beat. Instagram at CEOTPK. YouTube, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. Twitter at CEOTPK1. Facebook, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. We recommend going there. That's where all of our links are, and one pinned post at the top. Make it super easy for yourself. Email CEOTPK1 at gmail.com. Email us your local legends. Let us know what's happening in Ireland. You know what I mean? Discord, discord.gg/b6 capital C capital T 5 capital M capital X. That is where all the fun is happening. Memes are being posted, music videos. Bring Crunkcore Back is happening on the music channel right now.
It's been our latest argument.
So come join the argument. And last but not least, if you feel like donating just a little bit to us, you can go to our coffee and do so. That would be ko-fi.com/CEOTPK. Don't feel a need to, but I mean, anything's appreciated. We just love that you guys listen to us, and it was a fun episode. So thanks for letting us drink and record, guys. Hopefully you're drinking with us.
That's absolutely true. I really hope you guys can enjoy it, and I hope that you guys can take as good of a nap as I'm about to take as soon as we finish this.
And I have to go cook dinner, so I'm not taking a nap.
Damn. Well, happy to have y'all here, and happy to do this sort of journey. I don't know, man. I'm fucking running out of so much mental steam. Drinking is a bad idea.
Drinking is always a bad idea in the day. Although I want to look, I'm not one to pat myself on the back too often, but I was fairly respectful today to the Irish people. Okay,
actually a lot better than I thought you would be.
I'm trying to be a nicer person. Okay, I'm not nice. I'm trying to be a more mindful person. Okay, I'm like Jesus.
Okay. Anything else on that front?
No. Join my cult, or God damn it, join my religion. I'm still working on it on the Discord. So join the Discord. We'll figure it out. We'll get the details for that. But guys, look, whether you think drinking during a recording is a good idea or not, the truth is always out there.
It's a terrible fucking idea. It's not. This is why we'll drink beer on stage and not whiskey.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.